Bloodhounds, season 2. I was hoping that they would have a second season, but since they pretty much killed off all of the villains, I was like, well, maybe not. Besides, what would the story be about? They came up with a good idea, a good story, and it involved the singer slash actor Rain, who to me is unusually tall, but he's in here, he's clearly been working out, he's packed on some lean muscle, and he looks, and he's an actor, he looks and sounds like a legitimate threat. And I gotta say, when I was watching him beat people up, in my head, I could see him doing his video Magnetic with Jackson Wayne, where he's dancing and everything, and you can see how he's kind of lanky. He's lanky. He's a tall, thin, lanky dude. So when he's beating people up, I'm like, wow, he's definitely a threat. And in the back of my mind, I hear that song, and I'm like, and then I see the video, and he didn't seem threatening. And again, because I could just see him. It would be like if you were watching a video and Michael Jackson was playing the villain and somehow he pulled it off and he was threatening and the whole shebang, and then all of a sudden you started seeing Thriller and you were like, Or the several times that Chris Rock has played a villain, like in Sons of Anarchy, he was a villain and he was threatening. But sometimes when I would watch it and see him, I would automatically see his stand-up and I'd be like, yeah, he was funny. He's a funny guy. It's hard to separate them. The one that does it the best is Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci can do like The Super, and then he can do Casino, and he legit seems, you know it's the same guy, but he legit seems like two different people, and that's pretty cool. So in this season, Rain is a underground fighter, and he has an organization of criminals and bloodhounds that do his bidding. He owns an online arena where he fights people, and he has other fights and stuff, but he's pretty much the champion of this show. And he fights people, and then he makes a profit. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars. He pays himself, he pays his staff, he pays his underlings, and they want to eat, so they do what he says. Plus, he's extremely dangerous, and if you don't do what he says, he will hit you in the face hard enough to crack your skull. He is a dangerous, dangerous guy, and his first fight didn't look that interesting to me, probably because I had that video in my head. But every other fight he was in, he looked like a legitimate threat. And they are using what I consider the world's greatest martial art, American style boxing. Those guys train to get hit. Those guys train to punch you as hard and fast and often as they can. They strategically land the punches to cripple you, to hurt you, to fight another man or woman who is also trained to take a punch and to hit that person with enough power to render them unconscious. I growing up, I liked karate and the kung fu stuff. I used to watch that stuff on TV. It was great when they would wheel around and dance their way into a position where they could kick somebody. Used to like that, and karate chop each other. Used to watch the spy movies, and they would always, judo chop, and they'd knock each other unconscious with a chop to the neck. It was cool because it was mysterious. It was almost supernatural. You can hit somebody in the neck and then they would pass out, and you can just walk around doing that. That's crazy. You could jump in the air and backflip and kick somebody in the head and knock them unconscious. That's crazy. But in real life, you're more likely to see someone punch someone than to roll and jump in the air and karate kick somebody in the face. That's not probable. It's possible, but it's not probable. So these guys boxing, they look legit. And I looked it up. They all spent months learning American style boxing and how to box and everything. So that was good. The story is really, really good. And like I said, when I saw Rain, I was thinking maybe not the guy to be a threat, because I was thinking about the videos that I've seen him in, the music videos where he's dancing and stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute, the first time I saw him was in Ninja Assassin. And he looked legit. So I thought about it. I'm like, this dude, he's legit. He's a guy. He's dangerous. So this episode, the two guys are together again, and the younger one is still boxing. The older one has decided that he will just be a coach. So he's not as fast and as strong as he was in the previous season. He's not as skilled or as sharp. They've been concentrating specifically on the one guy, and he is a danger. In fact, he ends up beating, I think they said he was welterweight, but he ends up beating the champ in legit boxing and taking the belt. So he's a professional fighter now. But they're concentrating on him. And he cries in at least half of the scenes he's in. He's crying like every couple of minutes. Somebody must have said, you know what makes a great movie on Netflix? You've got to cry, man. And he cries, and then sometimes the other guy's crying, and the mama's crying. They get a visit from the remaining bloodhound from the original movie that helped them. He shows up. First thing he's doing is crying. They cry a lot in this movie. They cry a lot in this movie, but it's this series. But it was still good because the action was still good. The story made sense. The action was incredible. Kang, the villain from the original show, the big muscular guy that wore the little bucket hat, and he was bald, and he didn't speak much. He just kind of grunted. He just like looked at people and looked this way and was like, ugh. He just kept grunting, more than anything, and giggling. He was giggling, grunting. Well, Mr. Giggle Grunt is back. They break him out of Kang. They break him out of jail, and he's back. And he's still dangerous. He's been doing push-ups in jail, and he's been punching the wall for some reason, and he's been maintaining his strength. They break him out, and Rain's character, I guess, wants to see if it's worth breaking him out. So he has like 10 tough guys, some of them even bigger than Kang. He has a bunch of guys there, and they tell him, we broke you out of jail, but if you don't do what we say, we're going to call the police. You're about 10 kilometers away from the city. You'll have to travel at 10 kilometers on feet. Unless you can outrun the cops, they're going to catch you. And they'll get here in 10 minutes. So there's no way you're running 10 miles in 10 minutes. And he sees the car. There's a car parked there. And he's like, I could take the car. So he starts a fight with him. They did that to initiate a fight. So he starts fighting the guys, and he's beating the brakes off of them. I noticed that Rain's character made him fight all of those guys before he steps out of the car to confront him himself. I also noticed that later he has his opponents fight matches before he steps into the ring. So he is uber dangerous, but he puts the odds in his favor. Before I fight you, you're going to fight 1 or 2 fights, and then I'll fight you and finish you off. So he's dangerous, but he cheats. He cheats. When I was in boot camp, one of my drill instructors told me, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. If you don't do everything to win, maybe the other guy is, and you lose. You know, if you're taking your SATs, maybe don't cheat. But if someone is, you know, you're walking to the grocery store and some dude is trying to, you know, unalive you, yeah, it's okay to cheat. One of you is going to cheat. One of you has to win. In certain situations, cheating ain't bad. And in these fights, Rain figures cheating ain't bad, man. Let's cheat. I think that he was a different villain, but he was probably more dangerous than the villains of the first show. I think that if he would have fought, actually, you know what, I would have liked to have seen Rain's character fight the boss villain from the first character, because he had a knife in his, he cheated too, he had a knife in his boot, so when he kicked you, he was stabbing you. He put padding on his body before he went to fight the guy, because he knew he used knives, and he knew he liked to go for the guts, so that way, you know, he didn't get hurt. He had padding all over him. He was cheating. They both cheated, because Rain's character puts pieces of metal in his gloves. You know, I would have liked to have seen those two go at it. It would have been interesting. But honestly, if his character, Rain, would have landed 2 or 3 good solid punches, it would have been over. But the guy was a skilled martial artist, and he was good at kicking people, and he had knives in his boot. So, I don't know, that would have been an interesting fight. But I still think that maybe Rain's character he was more imposing at least. Like I said, the fight started out fairly slow, but they picked up and they got way more intense. There was a lot of blood and guts, gashes and stuff. A lot of people get stabbed in this season. You know, it's a boxing show. It's a show about 2 boxers, but a lot of people got stabbed. But it was good. I really enjoyed it. They kidnapped the main character's mom, and you know, you don't mess with nobody's mom, not unless you want to get the business. Giving it to people. So I liked it. It was really good. It was so good that I would like to see a 3rd season. They should not make the 2 brothers, because they're basically brothers, they shouldn't make them fight each other, because that's what they do sometimes in these type shows. They need to give them another villain, perhaps someone from their past. Maybe a rock marine from their past, Republic of Korea. Side note, when I was younger and I was in the service, I was in the Marine Corps, I actually trained with the rock marines. They are intense. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. I liked all of the characters. I liked the building of the story. I love the fight scenes. It could definitely bleed into a 3rd season, and I would give this season of Bloodhounds, I don't want to give too much away, because it's still on the air. I want to tell everything, but I'm not. 10 bags of popcorn. I don't give out a lot of 10s, but this one was a 10. I enjoyed it that much. In fact, over the weekend, I may sit down with a bag of popcorn and a cold drink and watch it all over again. It was that good. 10 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you had a chance to look at the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.